G'day, you mob. Let's make some adjustments. Get that out of my mouth, perhaps. Get this into my mouth. Hey. Hashtag VB. Hashtag beverages at the ready. Mike's hashtag game, definitely strong today. VB. VB would be quite nice today, actually. It's quite warm and a bit blowy. And VB's not that terrible. Not that terrible at all. Some people don't like it, but, you know, some beer's just beer. Let's run through some g'days. Hashtag goon bag, like it, Rob Bull. G'day Thirsty. G'day Zach. G'day Zach. G'day Big J. G'day Chewy. How are yous? Don G. Anna. Chris with the multi-tank addiction. Hope you're on top of those shakes, Chris. Withdrawals are terrible, so don't sell any tanks. Alien World, how are you, my friend? Cody, son. How are you, brother? Thirsty Rabbit. Did I say hi to you already, Thirsty? Well, I mean, we're talking all the time, so it's hard to remember when and where and what clock. Fish Room Fever. How are you, James? Good to see you in. Denny, of course. Denny the Ledge. Always good to see you, my friend. GRB, my West Australian brother, or West Australian, I usually say, don't I? Bob Kaler. Jay's Betta Room, the River Dance champion of Betta Rooms. Derek, how's it going? I'm already lost in the chat. Good to know, Alien World. I mean, not good to know that there's a sick kid around. They never lift the mood too much. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. Chewy, I've gone up and now I'm going back down, so I'm probably going to double up here and say hello to multiple people twice. I hope it makes you feel special getting a double up. Anna, I think there's your double up, love. Bob Kaler and Fish Room Fever going at it. They've been going at it for a little while. Like Bob said, he laid off a bit. But James just can't let go. Grabbing on with both hands, Fish Room Fever. Kename. I hope I'm saying that right, Ken. Welcome aboard. Terry's Tropical Tanks, also hashtagging that VB up. Nice work. Zen Ginger, how are you today? Rob Bull, I don't know if I got a g'day into you. Daryl Dimer. Is it Dimer or Deemer? Always wondered. I've never heard I probably have heard someone say it out loud, but, you know, we're not always listening, are we? JH, welcome aboard. Jess Shrimp Granny. How you doing, Jess? Good to have a rebel in the house. Jay's hashtag spliff. I think that hashtag is trending on YouTube right now. Jay. Chris. Multi-tank addiction. Oh, yeah, I said hello to you. I did that whole shaky bizzo, didn't I? Short-term memory loss. Jay knows a thing or two about that. Patricia Kleppel, or Kloppel, or Kloopel. Kleepel? I'm going to need some closure on that one as well, Patricia. I don't think I've heard that one said out loud. Big City Betters. How are you, Amber? What options? You've got options, love. Bed, lurking, rock scrubbing, they all sound potentially inviting and good to do. Bam, bam, bam. That is a common thing, Thirsty. The half-empty VBs at a New South Wales party. But, you know, sometimes breakfast warm VBs go okay. Chattanooga Ed made it for another one, Ed. Good to see. Good to see, sir. Caleb Aquatics. How are you, Caleb? Good to see you, mate. And who else has snuck in? Big J. I might have got him, or there's a few too many J's in here at the moment. So, you know, I get my J's confused. Sandra Bennett, how are you today? Either way is fine. Righto, Daryl, good to know. I'll make my own up. Lots of hellos between people. Maria Z, how are you today or tonight? Your time, I guess. Candy, did I say hello to you, Candy? That was remiss of me if I missed you, love. You should be first cab off the rank every time. Jesse, HC Aqua Jesse is here, and so is the mysterious Don Gallagher. How are you blokes today? Tonight? Sarah is not going to be here today, Anna. Sorry, she's busy doing stuff at her house. So yes, unfortunately, even though I said last week that we may be back to normal this week, she's still got a lot going on. Hopefully, maybe she might pop into the chat. We shall see. Fishy Beers, how are you, brother? Good to see you in. And Pamela has made it over. I'm trusting you've got your beverage in the form of a coffee, Pam, potentially with a little bit of brandy or something in it. It's very presumptuous of me, but potentially quite accurate as well. You may need to clarify that, Thirsty. Everyone is the Dr. Black 66 bird video. Everyone is. Is this an existential moment, potentially? I will, Anna. Thank you for your kind words. Her exhibition is still going down at Brunswick Heads. It's got another 2 weeks to go, I believe. Potentially we'll have to drop down there at some stage soon and check the wall, see how many sold stickers are up on the wall, crossing fingers and stuff. Did everyone see the bird video? Thirsty, I believe, was meaning. I missed out on some footage by about 30 seconds this morning of a king parrot. Beautiful big parrot species here in Australia. Lovely green and red bird. And I missed it. Sarah got a little bit of footage of it, but by the time I got there, it had flown away like foresty birds do when they're outside the edge of the forest. Pardon me. I was going to say that was the first one, but I don't think it was. Drama D, g'day, how's it going? Crikey. What did Bob say? Righto. You guys are so nice. Gotta love the fish fam vibe, you know? Sending out your loves and your hugs and your nice thoughts. Super appreciate that. warms the cockles of my soul. Damn it, I had to scroll back up, didn't I? Well, there was 36, Caleb, but we've dropped back down to 34. Potentially, you know, it's getting a little bit late for some people over there. Now down to 33. What did I do? Oh, my God. Sarah's also started up a Redbubble store. I think I may have spoken of, I think I did it on the Dr. Thirsty Mate stream at the weekend. Redbubble is the same sort of concept as Teespring, but they're based all over the place, so you can get more reasonable deals on postage when you live in a place like Australia. That's a long way from America to get stuff posted to. Dan Slee, how are you, mate? Thanks for popping in. Well, now it's jumped back up to 36. Or is my thing just behind? Potentially behind. Halloween? Nah. My oldest son turns 21 on Halloween. So we do birthday stuff instead of birthday stuff instead of Halloween stuff. Don't really go for those overly commercialized fun things for kids to do. I'd rather be a grandpa and go bar humbug and stuff. James, do you not get the message, James? Yeah, I'd rather something like Thanksgiving, massive feed. Not so much lollies, candies, except for those candied yams. That's a thing, right? Sweet potatoes smothered in sweet syrupy goodness. Yum. Right, let's get rid of that. That's enough of that. There's children watching. Goodness. Alrighty. So, oh yes, where did I see that? Alien World asked about the goon. Alien World goon is wine that comes in a plastic bag in a box. I believe you have them over in the States as well. But it's an Australian invention, the Goonie sack. And to answer your question as well, Derek, that is my drink of choice tonight. A nice dry red, straight out of a plastic bag in a box. The first couple are generally a little bit harsh, but, you know, you're warm to them. But my biggest mistake is putting it in a almost a pint glass. So by the time I get to the bottom inch, it's getting a bit warm in this weather. Three plus is a mob. Yes, any more than three. 3 or less is a ménage à trois, ménage à deux, ménage à une. Something like that. I think I may have failed French. I didn't fail scratching my thigh though. Oh, Derek, on the subject of your beer flavored with watermelon, I had one not so long ago. It was watermelon and pepper flavored. Not a fan. Potentially because the flavor of watermelon was very subtle. the flavor of pepper was non-existent. So why bother writing those words on the label if you're not going to taste them? I scrolled over Chewy. Now, what do I think of genetic coloration through biology, DNA lab work like Glofish? Look, I think it's definitely a thing that humans can do to show their ability, their scientific goodness, wellness. I actually got to do that, don't I? Sorry about that. Yeah, it's definitely one thing that we can do to say, oh, we're pretty awesome at doing this sciencey stuff, but you know, not a huge fan. But you know, is it really that different to doing things like tissue culture in plants or cloning plants or what do you call it? Pure breeding animals, dogs, cats, that sort of thing. It's just a different method, I guess, of getting desirable gene traits in your critters. But you know, it is, thanks Amber. Impressive is not the word I would use. But you know, I appreciate your candor. Candor might even be a French word. I used to be an amateur etymologist as well as an amateur entomologist. It's funny how one letter can make the words and the sciences so vastly different. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the fish that they create, but I'm also not a fan of certain purebred dogs that are bred for certain specific features, but then they have inherent genetic flaws, like, you know, your dogs. I'm not going to use any specific breeds in case I ruffle someone's feathers, but, you know, you get your dogs that are bred for one thing and then they suffer with hip dysplasia or leaky anal glands or the inability to breathe properly just so they have a funky looking face. So, you know, I bet some people who like French bulldogs are completely against Glofish. And that's just not fair. That is not fair. Humans are, you know, we're known to mess with animals, try and make them like we want them. And often it can go pear-shaped, isn't it? Not sure where you're getting MD from, Bob. MD 2020 is my drink tonight. I am also intrigued what the MD stands for. Mountain Dew? Mountain Dew that makes your eyesight perfect? I'm in guest land here now. The Real Life Sharktopus. Great film. Absolutely fantastic cinematic experience. Actually, did it even go to the cinema? Straight to DVD, probably. I mean, it's no Sharknado 3, but all of those crazy animal movies, excessively large ones. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for stopping in. I may have already missed him. He might have already been asleep in his chair. Yeah, thanks for the shout outs and the hashtags and the warming up the crowd for me. Thank you. Have a good sleep. Wake well in the morning. Larry D, how are you? I'm sorry, Larry, I'm a little bit behind in the chat, so you've probably been 7 minutes. Oh no, only 2 minutes apparently. I've heard, going back to the watermelon and pepper thing, because, you know, I'm behind in the chat. I've heard it is a thing. Anyone who may have tried it might be able to back me up here, but slice of watermelon with cracked pepper on the watermelon is apparently a thing that humans do. That's a good point. I know pear-shaped is it's obviously one way to describe the human form. Humans can be pear-shaped, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure why we use it like that. Potentially because a solid form may have gone a bit goopy and flat at the bottom. Who knows? Smash on that refresh button, perhaps, Drama D. I'm actually, for once, got full bars of Wi-Fi out here. That's pretty rare. And let me go back to Chewy again. Studies of genetic research of fish like zebras and guppies that cross over to human research, like breeding guppy back deformity into see-through guppies for studies. I find all of that stuff really interesting. And there's certain animals that I think should be researched more. I think I may have even spoke about it before with axolotls and salamanders and stuff, with their regenerative abilities. Crikey, I said that word, didn't I? With their with their ability to reform cells and whatnot. I'm assuming there probably is some research into them around the planet, but should be more done, because if they can find out the triggers at the cellular level, potentially that kind of research could be applied to humans, and especially considering that axolotls and salamanders and whatnot, even if they get a reasonably severe brain injury or head injury, their brain cells can grow back. So I've heard. I'm no scientist, but I have heard that. So potentially, yes, we could learn many things from researching many things, but obviously with such a broad spectrum of animals that we could learn from, and, you know, even though there's a lot of money on the planet in very few hands, potentially not enough resources to fund a hell of a lot of research. But all for it. I believe there should be a lot more done with that kind of thing, and less money invested into Facebook and Twitter and all of those other teeny things. But, you know, that's my soapboxy bit. Targin and watermelon. I don't know what targin is. Am I missing something? Or is it a drink as well? You know, I'm not the most cultured guy when it comes to drinks. And good on them for doing it too. Some of my favourite shapes. Ginger Graves on the commute, I'm guessing. Didn't quite finish typing that one. Maybe the boys in blue might have started flashing some blue and red lights behind her from typing. I hope you. Oh, there it is. She finished the sentence. Not pulled over. She's safe-ish. Yeah. Hope you use some form of voice recognition instead of typing while you drive. I agree. I've killed a few in my time, but thankfully not so many that it's affected me. I've just realized that sometimes words don't come out of my mouth. Potentially, I have killed too many. Yeesh. Since the Asians have found some keys into breeding affecting skeletal design to a fish, could not a bad genetic be bred into invasive fish by introducing affected stock? Now, it could, I guess, in theory, work quite well. However, let's take your guppies, for example, with messed up spines, bent backs and whatnot. Some of them live for ages and live just as long as healthy ones. So potentially you could introduce, unless you, I guess, introduce something that's super fatal to feral population, you could run the risk of, I don't know, the same as we were talking about with the koi herpes virus last week, that potentially you introduce a dodgy gene and potentially resistance, or it just gets words, enveloped into the gene pool in such a way that it gets bred out, or it just becomes the norm and they survive with it. So yeah, I'm sure that would be a good idea as long as it was something that was super fatal and did actually allow the fish with dodgy genes to be bred with. And whether something super fatal would trigger the other fish to not necessarily breed with it. It opens up a can of worms, doesn't it? Can of worms that could go both ways. Just go half prawn, Lockie. Just half prawn, not the whole prawn. Pardon me. That's potentially a thing as well. And yes, true, they have done that. I think there was a trial done on that in Queensland, in Australia here. But clearly one of the best solutions for mosquitoes is just education and having people be aware and active on removing stagnant water around their properties and yards. But again, we're such a vastly large country here that to police so much ground with stagnant water, big job, lots of investment. Thank you for clarifying, Derek. That stuff, chili, lime and sea salt together, I've certainly had before. I just didn't know it was called that. Or if I did, I may have had to lose that word to fit another word in. Fish freak. How are you, bro? No turkey soda today. On the red wine. Red wine helps me whine. Actually, I haven't done any whining or whinging today, I don't think. Only about my own lack of ability to produce words from my vocal cords. Thank you, Zach Fisher. Thanks for being here, my friend. Appreciate your patronage. well, actually, I can't really use that word nowadays, can you? Without people thinking you got money coming in. Appreciate you being here. Anyway, thank you, sir. Zach saying night to Zach. That's the kind of action you get when you have a beverage with Blacky, a beverage even. Work like the wind, Don G. Work like the wind. Thanks, Amber. Thanks for stopping in. Lucky you're already here, Rob Bull. But yeah, that YouTube's notification game has been poor lately. I've been missing a lot of notifications. I believe I had a discussion the other day with Fish Freak that he was missing notifications as well, and a bunch of other people as well. Not getting notifications on time, or a live stream's halfway through, all of a sudden notification comes in, people come and there's 3 minutes to go on a live stream. Oh, it's kind of left that series behind, didn't I? I do have a really cool design down on one of the bathtubs at my son's house. A little bit wasted too, that filter, because it's a massive filtration system running quite a large bathtub, but there's only one jade perch in the bathtub. And, you know, sure, that's a nice big 10-inch fish, beautiful eating fish, but he's also a bit of a bastard. Can't live with any other fish because he just tears them all up. So yeah, but yes, I would like to do a little bit of a showcase on that. The difficulty with doing that filter is it's also inside a big aviary that my son's built. But yes, I'd like to get that design out there because I'm quite proud of it. It's not just one that some aspects of it I did emulate from other designs, but there's a particularly nifty little feature I like of it. A filterless filter. Interesting concept for a bull, but you know, I'll be watching that. They are an awesome fish. Apparently, if you get quite a few as fingerlings and let them grow up together, then they go really good in aquaponics system. Not only because they are good feeders, good waste producers for your aquaponics system, but at the end of the season, you get a couple of whopping great big fillets off them, and they are a very tasty fish. And I've heard rumors that they may be a fish with potentially the highest omega-3 concentration of any fish on the planet. But I've never actually researched that. That's just like one of those things that I heard. Just keep regurgitating it as a fact. Potentially, I should fact check myself, but you know, if I get it wrong, someone will bring it up, won't they? But they are a very cool looking fish. And yes, they do need to go with other larger fish that can handle the aggression and the hijinks and shenanigans that go on in a jade perch tank. Wait, it's snowing. Glad you can't see that on camera. Whoops, gotta stop doing that. Yeah, I'd like to hear Rob Bull's story on the filterless filter. I'm intrigued. Oh, right. Thirsty and Lockie going backwards and around about the filter that I gave you, Thirsty. Is that what you're talking about? I see. I gave you the purpley spray painted one, didn't I, with the messy spray paint job? But it kind of did look cool. Rustic almost, except for that's purple and red. Not the most rustic of colours. Sure is, Jay. I used to have a nice big one. And what did I have him in? 4-foot tank with some other fish. But he was well trained to spit his water at my fingers when I would hold bugs in at the edge of the tank. He would spit water at my fingers and I would let go of the bug. And yeah, he basically knew that if I put my fingers in the corner of the tank, he'd have to spit at them to get a feed. So he even got to the stage where, you know, someone came for a visit and I didn't have something to feed him. I could just stick my fingers there and he'd spit at my fingers anyway. Once they learn the trick, they don't really forget it. Apparently you can train them to aim at different colours to get their feed. Pardon me. 808 has dropped in. How are you, 808? Good to see you in. See you later on, Drama D. Thanks for popping in, man. Oh, nice. Good to know, Fish Freak. I must look that up one day and see if there is some list. Because I know we have, what do we have? 4 or 5, maybe even 6 native perch in Australia. There's a few different ones, and I just heard that the jade perch it might be just the best out of the perch that we've got here. So that would be interesting to look into. I totally agree, actually, Chewy, that bad genes is probably a healthier way to go, because clearly bad genes aren't going to affect any other species, but ultimately we can't predetermine, well, you know, a 100% guarantee that some kind of virus isn't going to mutate and be able to infect our native species or hop onto some other species or even some other type of animal. Like, who's to say that a virus in a fish couldn't mutate and infect a mammal or something that eats an infected fish? So yes, at least we know that with genes, it's going to be definitely restricted to that target species. So yes, I 100% agree with you there. 100% that it's better to go with the gene thing than a virus. A virus is a whole different kettle of fish. That link. Yes, Bob, most definitely, sir. Do I not? I thought, okay, I've got some catching up to do. I thought that, what the heck? Oh, right, that's way behind, isn't it? No. Just talk amongst yourselves while oh yeah, I did. Right. There it goes. On the old YouTube page for me, the chat's like about an hour behind. I haven't been going for an hour yet. Like about 40 minutes behind, and it just all of a sudden scrolled through like mad. Yes, most definitely, Bob. I have given you the responsibility of moderator status because I have great faith that your moderating is on point. So yes, most definitely, that's the sort of thing that you can always put it up 17 or 19 times per stream if you like, even more. And most definitely, I will also back that up. Go have a read. If you can help, you can help. If anyone deserves it, Candy deserves it. Puts a lot of time and work in for the fish fam. Lovely lady, quality family, and we're hoping that everything goes ace for Stace. That's a shirt. Lockie, you watch too many movies. Pardon me. And what a way to welcome New England Endler in. How are you, New England Endler? Crikey, I'm already struggling with words. That's not even meant to be a tongue twister, but it twisted my tongue. Now, I'd like to address this one, particularly with the carp issue that we've got in Australia, is that is the main reason carp were introduced into Australia in 1859, I think it was, way back when, because it was a fish that the settlers, the English settlers in this country were used to eating. So they introduced the carp into our waterways so that they would have good eating fish in our waters. The problem is that it didn't take them long to work out that we already have amazing eating fish in our waters. Barramundi, the many varieties of perch that we've got, the many varieties, or the several varieties of freshwater cod that we've got, not to mention that most of civilization in Australia is on the coast. So we have access to hundreds of species of saltwater fish as well. So they have tried to get people to fish for it commercially as a food fish, but unfortunately, Australian fish taste nicer than the carp. Sure do, Jay's Betta Room. And can I make a recommendation? There is an Australian guy. Oh, g'day, Raleigh Fish Keeping Jamaica's in the house. Nice one, Alien World. Australian guy based on the Sunshine Coast, about 300 kilometres north of me. He is called Rob Bob's Aquaponics. I think he's got his names might be a little bit more convoluted than that. Hang on, I'll just let me go in and look. Whoops, YouTube, Rob Bob Aquaponics. Let's have a look and see what I can turn up. this guy, he's been doing a pretty good. How do you just share someone's channel? Like that, I guess. You just copy the link in it. And then we come back over here. Paste that. Now, the reason I suggest him is because I have, over the last 12 to 18 months, I've been desiring to get into an aquaponics setup myself, but I've been trying to learn as much about it before I go diving in the deep end, as it were. And the way he presents his information, he's a very knowledgeable guy, but he comes across very amicable, friendly, and he's not, he wants people to know and learn the stuff about his system. So yeah, he's definitely worth a watch if you can tolerate the Australian accent and big beards. Not that mine's very big, but Rob's certainly is. Definitely worth looking into, Jay. Tell him Blacky sent you. I don't think he knows who I am. He's got a few more subscribers than me. Definitely get your hands on it, Rob Ball, and send it up to me. Hello, Susan. Again, fancy seeing you here. Oh, and Monica. How are you, Mon? Yes, that's probably going to be the next crazy fish movie. Forget your Sharknadoes, forget your Piranha 3D. Carp mutation. Mutant carp apocalypse. Gaffer Haynes. How are you, Gaffer? Must be almost a week since I've seen you. They sure did, Rob. They sure did. Start that nonsense again. I've been ignoring my nose hairs. What percentage do you, population-wise, Derek? Let's see, what are we? We're a nation of less than 30 million, I believe. I think there's more people in Los Angeles than there is in the whole of Australia. And, I think there's maybe 15 of us down here that keep fish. Maybe 17 or 19. Really hanging on to that, aren't I? So yeah, probably not a massive. Based on our lack of conventions, fish clubs, and all that sort of thing, I'm going to go with a very, very low percentage, less than 1%, probably less than 0.1%. I would imagine there's quite a few people that have a fish tank in their house, but as I'm quite sure most of us are aware that just because you've got a fish tank doesn't mean you're a fish keeper. You get obviously what keeps your big fish stores in business is people that don't know how to keep fish. Get a fish, it's pretty for 3 weeks, it dies, they go get a new one. Unfortunately, that is the truth of the matter. That's how your fish stores survive. And a lot of them choose not to ask the important questions at point of sale, and choose not to educate their customers due to the fact that they know people kill fish and people want to buy new fish. Unfortunately, that's what goes on. Oh, he's still going about that video rally. Do you still want me to do the same one, or you want to like use me in a different series now? Because there's potential that, you know, I know there was a lot of stuff going on when I was supposed to provide that video for you. I had lack of camera. Then the nasty stuff happened, and then some more nasty stuff happened. But, yeah, could probably chuck something together for you nowadays. Oh, was it you, Gaffer, that suggested that other t-shirt company? Because I was racking my brains a couple of days ago regarding that I knew someone chucked up a company name, and I did not remember who said it, so I could ask again. Yes, that is a thing, GRB. Lockie makes me laugh all the time. What are they called? Intermediary bulk containers. There is, on the regular, out on my main road, a couple of 100 meters away, there's obviously a particular farmer out in the hills that goes through a lot of them, because quite regularly lately there is always one chained to the fence of the showground. But he wants $100 each for them. So me being incredibly scroogey and miserly, I want to try and find them for cheaper than that. But yes, the way, if you've seen Rob Bob's channel GRB, I think that's how he got into it. Started building his own system with the IBCs, and he does what he calls the chop and flip, I think. And he cut off a top third, turn the top third into your grow bed, and the bottom as your water holding or fish tank. And he's got multiple different system designs. Actually, one of his recent videos was 3 of the easiest systems you can design with IBCs or other containers. Lucky Seahorse has made it in. How are you today, girl? Good to see you in. That Don, you got to go into those movies totally accepting Hollywood's suspension of belief, and just know that it's just you're along for a fun ride. You can't go in taking them seriously or anything like that. You just got to love it and have fun with it. Susan, thank you very much for popping in. It was good to see you in again, and sleep well and wake well. Oh, crikey. I think I've slipped a little bit behind in the chat now. Oh, I've got to search for that other one as well, because Sarah's been putting up stuff on a red bubble, and some of it looks really, really cool. So I'd like to chuck a... Oh, hello. She's on the front page of... Oh, I suppose that's based on things that I've looked for, isn't it? Click that one. I wonder if I get rid of... Whoops. That bit. Pardon me. Click there. What do I get? I get that. Bloody interwebs. Do a bit of that. A bit of that. Come back over here. Go into there. Bit of that. And a bit of that. But yes, what you boys are saying back there about electricity is certainly a killer for a lot of people. Yes. So yeah, for your people that keep more than 1 or 2 tanks, can be a big killer. And water bills as well. You know, we get charged for water, and that price has been going up too. Yeah, Jay, you'll tend to get that more from your mum and pop, mum and dad, your local fish stores that are independently run, because I guess they're not so focused on... I mean, sure, they want money in the bank as well, and they want the sales, but they're also more interested in creating a rapport with their client base. And the more, I think a lot of the smaller stores understand that if they can educate people on the hobby, then that's when a hobbyist starts to learn more about the hobby, then they've got more potential to expand their own hobby into more tanks and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, there's the 2 different mentalities at the opposite end of the scale, where your bigger box stores just want to churn sales over, roll fish out the door, but your mum and pop stores want to generate the hobby, not just the sales. They want the whole hobby to grow. Clothes to order. Yeah, well, the closest I found to an Australian one, gaffer, was the red bubble stuff. I didn't find any other one. I thought you were saying the other day that clothes to order was Australian, but you know, I might be a wee bit confused. Crikey, sound like an old girlfriend of mine, Rally. You kind of sound like you don't appreciate the situation I was in at the time, Rally. I don't know if I can work for an overseer with no empathy. We'll see what happens. G'day, Sandy. How are you? Oh, crikey, that was a long time ago. I'm getting so behind. Going behind. Was that a duck? Was there large black bird flying in my backyard. There's been a pied currawong getting around out there. I've watched it a few times now. Thank you, Candy, for posting that up. I don't know if I got it in time. I'll quickly type this in. Dinny Bing. That's probably it'll put me behind another 4 minutes in the chat. Trying. It's funny. I've just gone past the Lockie and Rob Bull telling me to catch up. Riley's probably gone, but am I still doing the same video that you wanted me to do earlier, or are we moving on to a different topic field or something? Let me know. And yeah, GRB, I caught up and went past that bit, but what's the harm in having it up a few times? Crikey. Close to border. I think you mean close to border. Nice. Bob, no, I did not. I have not. When did you send it? Only recently? If you sent it recently, I haven't checked my email since probably yesterday. I'm a bit slack with emails. Righto, Rally, I will do the same video. And thanks for stopping in. Get some rest and arise again tomorrow to take it all on another time. And cheers. What else can I discuss? I've gone through another did we already lose fish room fever? Zen Ginger saying buy FRF potentially means FKJ. I think I have a strange feeling that fish room fever left quite a while ago. It was past his bedtime, I think, wasn't it, Bob? I probably shouldn't start that again, should I, James? James is still here. So clearly I was wrong. It is not past his bedtime yet. You probably got to take some water out of that fish tank and lay a blanket in there yet. That takes some time, doesn't it? I probably will never get the visuals of James laying in a fish tank for the sake of a Rob Bull video. Pure dedication, sir. Pure dedication. No, we don't have any skunks. Thankfully. Those things smell rotten. We have other things that smell, but nothing that deliberately, well, mammal-wise, nothing that deliberately sprays stinky stuff on you. Got a few reptiles that do. I'll have to check back on that, Monica. I didn't. I may have opened the message, but not actually watched the video. It may have been inconvenient at the time. I potentially was driving a motor vehicle and breaking the law. But if you say it's funny, by crikey, I will go and have a look at it, and hopefully you're not overselling it. Michael Thornley, how are you, sir? Good to see you in. How's your day down the south end? Ba-doom. Hopefully my microphone is so awesome that it's not picking up all of those notification ding-dongs. Thank you very much, Mr. Thornley. Anyone who's here didn't have a look at the bird video I posted the other day, by all means, go and have a look. If you suffer from motion sickness, potentially take some medication first. It's a pretty rough ride. Some very, using zoom. I've got a rather long zoom lens on my camera. And I don't think I used a tripod in any of those videos. So yes, there's some shaky footage, but there's also some very pretty birds. Fishaholic. I think I may be familiar with that one, Chewy. Fishaholic. I'll have to have a look. Why can I? I need to do that from over here, don't I? I will. Oh, thanks, Candy, for popping that up. It's like I just mention it and the link appears as if by magic. Where did we do it? There. I will open that one in a new tab, Chewy, and check that out shortly. Thank you. I do appreciate your sharing stuff out like that. Like I found this other guy through Instagram yesterday, Waz's Aquariums. You don't get much more Australian than that. He only had 16 subscribers or something, so potentially he's only been doing it for a little while, but I'm going to try and encourage him to get onto this fish fan bizzo as well. Nola Jane, who's not Nola Jane, has made it in. How are you, love? Good to see you, and thank you for stopping in. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't actually think of that. But yes, anyone who has an existing nausea situation, i.e. or e.g. a hangover, could be potentially detrimental to making it all the way through the video. Solid advice, Thirsty. Solid advice. Dedicate. Commit. Yeah, GRB, if you've got a skunk story, you know, sit down in front of your camera, tell us your story, cut some skunk images in over the top, Let's hear that story. Might take a little bit too long to type it out in a chat thing, considering I'm tempted to disappear shortly, but we all likes a good wildlife story. Yes, Jess, let's not stir that pot, please. We've only just settled it down. What else is going on? Anyone else got a short story? I don't. I think I've run out of stories. What did I do the other day? Rinsed river gravel for a couple of hours, cleaning up. We have this nice little secret spot I like to go to in one of the local creeks where there's a bend in the creek and a massive pile of lovely gravel piles up near the edge of the creek. So I like to jump over there and collect a couple of buckets of it. Unfortunately, due to the soils and riverbeds around here, it is very clayey, very full of small particles of clay, and it takes an awful lot of time to clean the clay out of it. So I did potentially a bucket, let's just call it a bucket load, pardon me, cleaned out and put into my bathtub in prep for the summertime to get some plants growing out there, and then potentially get some guppies and bristlenose out there growing big over the summer for cells. Anyone familiar with, was it Williams Mbuna? Or is that a different one? I don't know my Mbunas, but I did I googled it up before when you were telling me about it, Rob, and I think it said Williams or Wally's or something. Wally's Mbuna, Williams Mbuna. We likes your stories, Pam, and they do go good on your live streams. I should potentially take a leaf out of your book and start remembering stuff. But I suppose I've been on the planet for only 2 or 3 years, less than you, so I may not have as many in the memory banks. But yes, always enjoy listening to the stories on your live stream. And I'm pretty sure everyone here knows 54 Punchy, but if you aren't subscribed to Pam, get on and subscribe to Pam. Get into her live streams. It's where all the cool kids go. Fish Tropic, how are you, mate? Thanks for stopping in. It's funny, every time I start thinking, yeah, maybe I'll finish up now, then all of a sudden new people start rolling in. So I wonder if I say it again, will I get new people rolling in? It's been good numbers tonight though, and thanks everyone for hanging around. It's I think I haven't I haven't seen my viewers drop below 30 this whole stream. That's full credit to you, Mob, for being such a good crowd. What is GRB? Mercedes import slowed to a... Is that as in the cars? Mercedes importing of the car? Or am I being lured into a little bit of nonsense? Because you wouldn't think so. There's like so many around here. All the bloody money in Byron Bay and this area. It's crazy. Every third car's a Mercedes. There is lots of them, but intrigued. I'm intrigued, GRB. Zispy, you're asking me, Fish Tropic, what did I breed first? When I suppose when I started proper into aquariums, I was like just madly throwing all sorts of fish into tanks. I had the wildest community tanks ever, but for the most part they worked. And crikey, that's got me thinking. I actually think that the first fish that I successfully bred, no, it was convicts actually. Go figure, convicts. I had a pair of convicts go nuts for me in Sydney. Oh, we got 2 pied currawongs now. One's a baby, but it's got its full adult feathers, but I can tell it's a baby because of his voice, or her voice. Yeah, I had convicts, but I did have them in a community tank, like I said, and I think it was when they started setting up their territory and attacking the crap out of every other fish in the tank that, you know, I got another tank just so I could house those guys and let them breed. And then after that, jaguars. I had a pair of jaguars for quite a long time. The male was easily over a foot long, probably closer to 14 or 15 inches. Female about 10 or 11 inches long, probably 10. And they used to breed like mad for me. Kept me in free fish feed for about a year. All the babies. I probably flooded that was when I was living in Brisbane when I did the Jags. I probably flooded Brisbane with jaguar cichlids, Parachromus managuans. Constant breeders. But yeah, that was my first 2, I think. And then bristlenose. I had tanks set up here at my mum and dad's house when I was living elsewhere as well. And there was a few other fish, but primarily just bristlenose and constantly breeding bristlenose. And that was my mum's pet project of fishing out bristlenose and taking them to the pet shop and trading them in for food. So they're always a good cash cow if you can get your bristlenose going. And then, you know, that goes back to that thing about fish shops not necessarily educating people, because people will go and put bristlenose in cold water tank and then your bristlenose miraculously dies over winter or something, and then they have to go back and buy more. Holy crap. That's a long story that made me miss out on 6 minutes of was that when I was breeding the old stuff. I didn't I probably had a camera, but I don't think I was taking pictures of fish or anything back then. Oh, you were talking about Don's bobcat story. I was going to say Bob's Don cat story. Right. Right, and a very, very appropriate headline then. Classic. Those journos are really struggling for readers, aren't they? They got to get catchy bylines. That's about it, Rob Bull. Put some spit in a shot glass and the convict will probably breed in it. No. No, the closest I've come to breeder boxes and stuff is the little frame and mesh ones that you just hang on the inside of your tank and put your babies in. But you know, primarily used for live bearers and whatnot. I rely on my live bearers breeding in heavily planted tanks now, and I certainly get stacks and stacks of babies, which is one of my jobs for the afternoon. Is now that I've got my bathtub a bit better prepped, I'm going to take some of my baby guppies, which I've got some phenomenal colours coming through. I have no idea where they're coming from. Genes are interesting things. Take a half a dozen babies out of that tank and chuck in the bathtub and see how they go. Tests and stuff yesterday. Tests all came back good. pH was a little bit high. What was it? It was 7.6, 7.8-ish, so not terribly high. Probably high enough for guppies. Pardon me. Lol. What? Made it. How are you, friend? Oh, exactly what I was just talking about, Sir Prawn a lot. Based on those, what are they called? Marina boxes, I think people call them. I've seen quite a few people do reviews on them. They seem to be quite good, but I have seen that they may be a little bit susceptible to small, tiny small fish getting stuck in certain bits of the thing. But I guess, hang on a tick. Funny what you find when you're not looking for it. Yeah, these are the sort of ones that I was talking about. The only sort that I've used. Just a little plastic frame that you chuck together, and it just hangs in the tank. It's got little knobbly bits here that some bendy metal goes on that you hook over the edge of your tank. They're pretty fine. Depending on what other fish you have in there. And this one's pretty unusable now. It's got a couple of holes in the net. They do deteriorate. Oh, look at that. Deteriorate with age. But they still work. Biggest problem I find with these, like I said, depending on what fish you have, that other fish can come up underneath and have a crack at the babies. And they can do a lot of damage to your baby fish in there just by trying to eat them through the mesh, sucking upon them and making a mess of them anyway. So it is a good idea to put something across the bottom, like some plant that obscures the view of what's in the net by other fish in the tank. But I'd probably have a crack at the marina breeding boxes, because I like the concept of them, that it churns water through from your tank just with a air stone. But oh, see ya, Alien World. Sorry, man, I'm sliding behind in the chat. I assume Lucky Seahorse is going with you too. Thanks for stopping by, guys. But yeah, with those marina boxes, I guess that potentially, you know, depending on what babies you're putting in there and how much flow you've got coming from your air stone, that you may need to make some modifications, a bit of sponge, a bit of polyester fill, something like that, to, you know, prevent babies getting stuck where they're not supposed to be. Oh, I guess not then, Lucky Seahorse. She's saying bye as well. I guess eating separate tonight, peoples. Heath snail. Actually, that's an interesting one too. I've got a bunch of these ram's horn snails that are breeding, and they're just like your plain brown ones. And I have one of my mosquito breeding buckets, which basically are just some mulm that I've cleaned out of my fish tanks, and I just let them sit for a little while to breed some mosquitoes to feed my bettas. Betta, I've only got one. And was it yesterday or the day before, I saw one of these snails climbing up the inside of one of my buckets, and I've picked it up, and sure enough, it's one of the similar ram's horns, but instead of just being a plain browny red color, it was spotty. And it wasn't like calcium crappy looking spots. It was brown spots on a slightly see-through shell. And I potentially probably should have left it be so it could grow bigger and maybe reproduce for me, but I pulled it out of the bucket and chucked it out in my bathtub because the bathtub's getting full of algae and I need some people to start working on the algae. Heath snail. I may have to look that guy up. G'day, Hayley. How are you, sis? What the heck are you doing at work at this hour of the evening? It's a harsh taskmaster, isn't he? That's a good point. Do they provide that in the, like, do they provide you options when you buy these marina boxes, or do you sort of have to get creative yourself to develop your own workarounds? And yes, the double layer of mesh in those hanging things is a good idea. And yes, they do get full of filth very rapidly. And as I think I previously said, I think I used it once and the tank was already planted, but it was heavily populated as well with many different types of fish and had much more success with, you know, down types of species and heavily planting before I started having successful breeding with live bearers and what's not. It's that stuff. Oh, at least you're getting practice in, Haley. You'll be a master by the end of the season. Corey's will probably eat your fry if the fry go down low enough, and if the males are smallish, then they might struggle to get the babies in, but there's absolutely no reason a male won't eat the babies. Guppies are one of those fish, if it fits in their mouth, they'll have a go at it, whether it's got their genes or not. But yeah, your water sprite may well be your best defense. So yeah, go for that heavily planted thing, and take your are you doing your top pruning of your water sprite? Cut your top off, replant it, so you really thicken up that growth. And when you prune off the top, then the new growth that comes out below where you pruned will also be quite thick. The Heath snail was the one that stopped the Mercedes imports. Just to confirm, was it Lockie that said he's got the spotty ones as well? Crikey, I get left behind, don't I? I know reading, I know writing. Righto, thanks to Prawn a lot for stopping in. As always, appreciate you being here. For those that don't know, I believe Sir Prawn a lot is doing a live stream in 2 days. 2 days my time, 2 nights your time. Thursday night, he wants to do a Q&A session, so check out his channel and get involved. Get some questions going for the lad. And yeah, Monica, you can't believe water sprite. So many words. Is another good one that it's a good one to, when you prune your bit off, maybe let your prune bit float for a few days. And you might start getting some roots to develop before you put it in your substrate, because sometimes you prune a bit of plant off and pop it straight in your substrate. Often your piece of plant needs to recover from the wound first. So quite often you'll chuck a freshly pruned piece of plant into your substrate, but you'll get a little bit of rot going up that stem, and it might release itself from your substrate anyway. So it's often a good thing to do is to let it float in your water for a little while first. That way the wound can heal up. You're not giving it as many chances as letting pathogens get into that wound as you do if you chuck it into your substrate. And yeah, if you start to see in no time flat some roots developing on the stem, then you pretty well can be guaranteed that that wound is healed enough to go into your substrate. Hi, Aquamate. How are you? He's probably already gone because I took too long to respond to him. I like these Hank Hill references. There's probably too many young people that don't even remember the references. Z. Ice run. Speaking of which, I have an empty glass. Pardon me. Katechu bark. I've not heard of that, Jay. If I'm saying it right, I may be saying it wrong. I'm assuming it's off a Katechu tree. Katechu. Katechu. One sec, I'll be back. Whoops. One of the many uses for the empty goon sack. Convenient hobo pillow is what I was trying to say. No offense to any hobos out there or in here. That's considerably colder than my last mouthful. I have a blockage in my left nose hole. Oh, that looks pretty. Oh, that's not very handy, is it? You can barely see it. How's that rock going? That way. That way. Oh, good. God damn it. Anyway. Anthony's fishy friends has made it in. How are you, Anthony? I see. So you're looking at some bark off the same tree, or is it like a pretend bark made out of the extract? And you use it medicinally in your fish tanks, or is it just something that the placards are used to in their native environment? Or is it a little bit of both? A little bit decorative, a little bit medicinal, a multi-purpose bark, perhaps. I'm intrigued. With all of the different leaves and stuff that people use for shrimp tanks and blackwater tanks, I'm very tempted to give the macadamia leaves a go. Because while it's so dry here, these macadamia trees drop about 150 leaves a day. I think it's worth a shot. I've got to test them in, maybe I'll boil some dry ones to see if they exude any oil, but I think most of the oil, macadamia oil, pardon me, comes from the nut. My bathroom's easy to find, Fish Tropic. Straight out the back gate. In the paddock. Piss anywhere you like as long as it's not on the path. And obviously, depending on what you've been drinking, go further away the yellower your piss is. Whoops. Forced vacation, Anthony. Better tell us why, mate, because we're running out of stuff to talk about. Ginger, you made it. That always blows my mind that we talked to Ginger early in the piece about the commute, and then it seems like hours later that she says she gets home. It's like, crikey, that commute. I used to hate a 6-minute commute to work. Good to know. Just like the Bacopa Munieri, known as Brahmi. I know it's got so many different names, but it's a lovely little decorative fish tank plant that also grows very well. It grows submerged or emerged and has many, many medicinal products. Benefits. Wow, I am so on fire with words today. It's not funny. Yeah, well, I've got a nice big guava tree. I mean, it's not my guava tree. It just grows beside a creek. I drive past it every day. And I've heard they're very good. But I've not gone and pilfered a branch off that. And I just thought macadamias might be a worthy one to test. And there's a few other ones that people use, and it's like, why not use something that's readily available instead of, falling into the bandwagon of using what everyone says is the best one. Oh, Thirsty, train well. Thanks for stopping by and hanging about, mate. And I will talk to you later. Oak leaves, says Rob Bull. I can't remember the last time I saw an oak tree. They might work down your way, but I think it gets a little bit too hot and humid up here for oak trees. They might need a very cold, frosty winter. It's very rare that we get a frost up here. Welcome back, Ed. Good to see you again. I hope your ice is 0 or less. I'll do they now. It could be a shirt. I should just put it on a shirt. No, then you'd get people pissing on your shirt, wouldn't you? Yeesh. Copper decent bang, did you, Anthony? Those things can be hell to pay on the neck. I know I was involved in one quite a few years ago now, and it wasn't till 2 days after getting banged into from behind that the neck pain didn't kick in, or did kick in, I should say. I did try to encourage Sarah via a message to jump in and say hi, but she is busy. Well, she's multitasking at the moment. She's building some jewelry, but more importantly, she's trying to build a website for herself. And I do like to leave her be when she's focused on a project and let her just, you know, immerse in that to get it done, you know, get it done. Pardon me. Yeah, we get a few films up here, but like I said, I can't remember the last time I saw an oak tree. And I mean, you can't miss them when they're in flower or in nut. I think they say that about Bacopa monnieri as well, that it's good for gut problems, but if you use too much of it, it can bind you up and cause constipation. So you do have to exercise caution with it. Goatweed. Being a goat myself, I may have to look that up. No, it doesn't matter how minor the accident is. It gives you a little bit of time off work. Time to be with your daughter, you know. Accept the positives that you get out of it, Anthony. Lap it up. No one was hurt is always a good thing. Minor incident. Freaking words, I tell you. No, what I was just saying, Derek, is that I've not seen any oak trees in my neck of the woods. Down where Rob Bull is, the climate is probably a wee bit more appropriate for oak trees than up here. Epimedium. Thanks, Fish Freak, for clearing that up. I super do like having knowledgeable people around. You never know when you're going to learn something. I just wish I could learn how to make words come out of my mouth effectively. Righto. Nearly been going 2 hours. So maybe they're not picky on climate, Rob. Maybe it's just that they haven't taken off up here. Maybe people aren't into them. Maybe there's just other trees that work better. Like camphorals, by crikey, they work well up here. What a shit of a tree. Pardon me. But as I was saying, live oaks is a particular type, are they, Derek? That's how unfamiliar I am with the oak trees. I'm unfamiliar with the different ones. As familiar I am with oak trees is that they do pop up in crosswords a lot. So, my call it quits here. If I can work out where that one is to take that off the screen. No such thing as too many veggies. If you got plecos, you probably don't have enough plecos, Jess. Mash them up, freeze them, feed them to your shrimp. So yes, let us call it quits. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for hanging out. Those who have been here from the get-go. Super appreciate it. If you're watching the replay and you've made it all the way through the replay, wow, you're a special kind of human. But thanks as well. Thanks to Candy and Bob and any other mods that were modding their little bums off tonight. Appreciate your efforts. To Caleb, I can't believe that took so long to pop up in the stream. And that was a fairly lackluster and the second fairly lackluster one. I apologize for that, Caleb, but my left nostril is very blocked up and I'm struggling to make words, especially R's. Apparently saying R really heavily relies on two nostrils being clear. But I got some work to do on this left one. So yeah, thanks everyone. I'm not going to reply to Don Gallagher's issue because I may get myself in hot water. But yeah, birds are starting to flock in for afternoon feedings. Thanks for being here, Rob Bull. I think you were here from minute 1. Appreciate that, brother. And everyone else, thanks heaps for popping in, stopping by, chatting away. Chewy, thanks for your questions. If you're still here, always good for you to trigger some good conversation stuff because, like, especially today, I had absolutely nothing prepped. So unlike me. So, yeah, appreciated the ability to fill that little bit of time with some answering or attempts to answer questions. And, yeah, thanks everyone else for stopping. And if I don't see you on Sunday, I don't know if we're doing a Dr. Thirsty Mate this weekend. I'll see you next week. Thanks again. Take it easy. I'll check yous soon. Or late or soon. Yeah, I'll check yous. Bye now.